Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hey, how's it going, my little randomites, my randocerises? I like that. I think I'm going to keep that. What is going on, guys? It is me, Memorandum, coming at you with a video that I mean, it feels like it's been a while since I've even been here. But I'm here for a reason. I'm here for this little movie right there. For it. I have been excited for it. I've been waiting for it. And I could probably keep reusing this joke talking about it. And I think I'm already tired of it right now. So let's move on. So I wanted to do this review, and I tried to think of the best way to do it. And no, I'm not trying to continue the joke. I was trying to think, okay, I want to talk about the movie, but I also want to push aside some things that have been bothering me as of late. So first off, just in case if those of you that are wondering that are watching this will be a non-spoiler review. At the end, I'll take a couple of questions, or during the stream, I'll go ahead and take a couple of questions of whatever you want to know. I will ask to try to ask me questions that will keep me from doing any spoilers. But, of course, if you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it. So I'll try to warn those that are worried of spoilers to just, like, lower the volume down. But please add into the chat right below or to the side. It adds way more to the stream, but I will make sure that I, kind of keep going and keep going with it. So in order for me to do a true movie review, I need to nip something very quickly. The comparison to the TV or the miniseries, I don't want to even call it, the two Saturday night movies or Friday night movies that came out on ABC, and obviously the 2017 film. So in order for me to do this properly, let's just go ahead and and pay attention to the big giant elephant in the room. Let's just do this. Okay, so I want to go ahead and start this off saying I am a fan of the original. So hey, what is up? The classic one of the BeerDead Gamerz. So what's the spoiler of the movie? And I am gonna try my best to not spoil the spoils of the spoiler movie, whatever. So anyways, so going back to what I was saying, I am a fan, and just to kind of show, like, I got my little Pennywise the Clown here. I even bought it on on DVD. Just a big fan of the film. I want to talk about the Tim Curry performance and tell you how I felt about it. When I was a child, it freaked me out. It did. It freaked me out. I thought that, especially the scene in the shower room where he kind of like comes out of the drain in front of the Eddie character, and just kind of, it just really brings that fear of me of that, where a place where you feel comfortable, not really comfortable like you want to fucking be there all the time, but where you feel vulnerable. That's the word I was looking for, vulnerable. This thing comes and is getting you in that most vulnerable place. And so for years of my life, I actually took showers with my curtain fucking open, staring out, afraid of, if something would come out of my drain, I could bolt out, or something came out of the toilet, I could go around it, or I at least knew it was coming. So that was some of my fears. The Tim Curry performance can be described in a very simple way, and it's very whimsical. It tries to get you by being very human, is the best way I can place it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a murderous creature that is posing as a clown. So how fucking human can it be? But in reality, it does a lot of the mannerisms that a human would do. Besides besides that, it does a lot of things that humans would do. The things that it talks about, the things that it says. And from the little that I've spoken to my wife that actually, read the book, saying like, I mean, there is moments like that, but there's a very darkness to it. So, but I accepted it because it was a version of this creature, and I liked it, and it scared me, and it would have like these odd, serious moments after it's laughing, and you really catch it in the Georgie scene where. This is obviously, I'm talking about the Tim Curry, so this is not spoilers. This is just an old movie, and if you haven't seen the old movie, where the fuck have you been? And where he's kind of like, would you like a balloon? And that whole thing. And then the part where I'm talking about is, there's a part where it goes, does it float? That's what Georgie says. And it's like, yes, Georgie, they float. And when you're down here, you'll float too. And then like that whole thing happens. I apologize, I had to do that whole scene. So that scene where he kind of like, yes, Georgie, that seriousness. You also see it in the little girl coming in the tricycle and the sheets, kind of like, hi. And then he has that angry face, and then he kind of comes in and doesn't show anything. That I felt like was the one thing I felt true to what I imagined what the creature was. Everything else, I felt that it was a facade, a cool facade, but just a facade nonetheless. So I wanted to do that whole explanation so I could pinpoint exactly what it is about the Tim Curry performance that most people like. And people hold on to the Tim Curry performance like it is the end all be all. There is nothing that can equal to. And you know what? I'm getting really, really tired of the that's not my ... argument. I am so annoyed by that. Well, that's not my Batman. Well, that's not my Spider-Man. Well, that's not my... Well, fucking duh. It wasn't yours to begin with. It's an intellectual property that a movie studio bought that now is being released today. It's not yours. But okay, let's go ahead and play off of that concept of yours. Cool. So that means anytime that somebody wants to enjoy your film, they have to watch a 1970s, 1980s, or 1990 film that you feel still holds up, and there doesn't need to be another film. Well, that to me is a very selfish concept. And not only that, but I feel like there are a lot of things that could be done now. And I know a lot of people are like, well, all today is just, graphics, computer graphics. That's it. CGI. Our industry is filled. Why can't we do practical effects anymore? Because it costs a lot of money. And it takes a lot of time. And guess what? Time equals money. And sometimes they just can't do it. And that's why CGI has become affordable to where a movie like it can be done at a reasonable price and can be enjoyed now and has a better chance of getting a sequel. How great is that? Where now, if they release a sequel, we don't have to worry about the quality of the film dropping. Maybe the writing because it's being rushed. But the quality and the visuals of the film will stay the same. Let me go ahead and name a film series that its sequel visually had to degrade as the sequels continued because of the cost. Original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Watch it. Original looked amazing. Jim Henson Studios. The quality of the movements of the mouth. Practical effects. Practical effects that could not last. Second film. It looked ridiculous. And it just got worse. Turtles in Time, I don't even want to talk about that shit. So, or I believe it's not Turtles in Time. It was like Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, and then Turtles in Time is a video game. My bad. I'll play that one time. So, the point I'm trying to get at is that If your argument right off the bat is it's not my it, I will completely null and void your critique and your review. I won't even bother. And those of you that are looking for a film and you hear that and that's stopping you from watching the film, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that that had to be the review that you heard. But if you feel that that is a strong enough argument to keep you from watching the film, then yeah, you probably shouldn't watch it. Because it won't be. Tim Curry is not coming back. And there are going to be other people that might portray the character of Pennywise. Just like there will always be another character that plays Batman. Just like how there will always be another character that will play Spider-Man. And just like how there will always going to be a character that will, or an actor that will portray the character of Superman. It's just the way it goes. And you know what? I like characters that evolve. And I like movies that change. Tim Curry's movie will not disappear. It exists. It will always be there. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. This is not a sequel. This is not continuing the story. This is a monster of its own. Forgive me for my pun. So that's one of the things that I wanted to really kind of get off my chest. That if you are waiting for me to use that as an argument in this, I'm not. I am going to critique this as a film on its own. Not based on the book, not based on past movies or films or, concept of TV series or fan fiction. I'm not. And I believe that anybody that you watch your reviews on, if they're doing that, they're doing a disservice to you. For those of you that want to watch a good film and not going like, well, it's not the Tim Curry performance. Well, it's not the book. Well, I'm sorry that I'm not going to dedicate 42 hours of my life to hear the audiobook or dedicate a week or two of my life to read the book. And those of you that are going like, well, it took me a day. Awesome. And I'm glad for you. But I'm not going to do that. And I know you're probably thinking, okay, well, this is a long rant just for a movie review, but it's something that I find important, and I think it shows the kind of review that you're going to expect from me. It's going to be purely based on the film itself, the film that you see right there. Okay, so non-spoilers. So first to talk about the tone of the film, and I think tone is very important. Now, the tone, and as you'll hear from a lot of different people, for sure, this is a thriller. I would say it would rank off thriller, horror, right below that. And then I will go ahead and say right underneath that would be a coming-of-age story. In the likes of, I would say, Stand By Me is the big one that most reviewers are saying. I agree, but it's kind of a cop-out, being that, Stand By Me in itself is a Stephen King film anyways. So it's like I hear a lot of people also comparing it to like Stranger Things. And I feel like Stranger Things has a little bit more of a Spielberg kind of feel to it. They're a little kinder to each other. It's more of like a friendship of kindness. There's a little bit of like kind of meanness, mean-spiritedness. I would actually connect it, and I've heard some other people say this. The Collider group for sure. The Sandlot. Now that one I felt that was a better comparison. It's a Sandlot feel. It's a little bit more of a rib towards each other, but you can sense the camaraderie. That's what I felt. The dynamic and the dynamicness of how tone shifts is awesome. A lot of people actually knock it as one of the problems, that the tone shifts too much. And it's like, but you don't understand the psychology of what that does in a film, is that it messes with your mind. It's bipolar. It's almost as if you are a child. Your emotions jump between several things. You're literally going through a emotional roller coaster. And And I feel like some people just kind of miss out on that, and they're like, oh, I don't like how it jumps between that I'm laughing and then I'm scared and then it's like I'm nervous and then I'm laughing again. It's like, yeah, guess what? That's like the mind of a teenager. It is. And if you don't believe me, I mean, just be around one for like a second. And it's like 1 minute they're laughing, and then the other minute they're like yelling at their friends, and then the other minute they're crying. And then they're laughing right after that. It's that emotional roller coaster that I feel that this film does beautifully. It's about kids. And so the film feels that emotional roller coaster. It forces you to follow that emotional roller coaster with these kids. So the tone is perfect in my mind. If you can kind of feel that, or you can feel that you can connect to something like that, then you're going to be with me in that sense, and you're going to feel it. Now, you may have noticed I did thriller first, then horror, because there's horrific scenes in it, as in that causes you to like that feeling, which is awesome. But that is not sustained. I feel that there's a more suspense within it, so I feel like it falls into the thriller category because you're just constantly on edge. I actually caught myself, kind of resting in front because I saw the film at the Draft House, and which, by the way, I had a bombshell blonde. Just saying, for those of you that are keeping tabs on the BeerDead Gamerz drinking habits. So, anyways, so the main idea there is that you just were caught up in the story. So if you're looking for like horror or like maybe the linger factor where you feel that sense of fear even outside the film, I wouldn't say that. Don't get me wrong, there was a little bit of that I kind of got, but it wasn't to an extent as maybe like The Conjuring that had a little bit more of a linger factor for me. But that's just the subject matter, so that might not pertain to everybody. So linger factor is something that's kind of subjective to the individual watcher. Maybe if you watch it, you might feel differently. So I just wanted to kind of touch upon that. Now, characterization. For sure, this film is centered upon the Losers Club. The dynamicness of the characters obviously lends itself to two things. The writing, which was done perfectly, and there is, according to my wife that actually read the book, lines that are very similar to things that they said to each other from the book and in the movie, which is awesome. And so it really adds to that those characters. But to add on top of that, I would also say that the actors themselves are awesome, and I wish I could just kind of count them off, but I'm going to use their character names. So my favorite character in this one would be Ben. I felt that he also was the most different from, like, let's say the miniseries. They really kind of made him more fleshed out when it came to why he was important in the group. And every character has an importantness to it. One of the critiques that I heard is that everybody was a fragment or a stereotype of a character model. But in my mind, each of them actually was a fragment of a child's personality. You have the intellect of Ben, but then you also have the insecurities that come with it. You have Mike of his African Americanness and the issues of race and the feeling of being secluded from the town that he lives in. You have Bill with a obviously a stuttering problem, a speech impediment that keeps him from being able to say the things that he wants to say, to express himself. And so that I mean, just done beautifully with the Bev character, the idea of self and self-image, and the way that people view you in contrast on the way you view yourself, and sexuality to a certain extent. And I'm not going to go too deep into that concept, but just know that Bev's character kind of goes into it. And then you have Eddie with the idea of fear of sickness, and of not being able to control the things that are in the outside that can come to you. And so, like, that protection, that wall that we've created, even society today with our children, it's the image that Eddie portrays is for sure very important. You also have Richie, how his wall is very different. While maybe Eddie's wall is medicine, Richie's wall is his comedy. And that's how he separates himself from everybody else, how he keeps himself separate from everybody else, and that's his wall. And we see that today. We use comedy to kind of protect ourselves. And finally, and last but not least, Stan. He is really much the idea of the skeptic. Maybe not in the sense of as like the intellectual, which I like how they divided those two concepts, because you have the skeptic in Stan, but does not inherently mean intelligence like Ben. And so that dynamic between the two really shows, like, skepticism doesn't mean that you have an answer for everything. It just means that you question everything, and you question the existence of everything. And so that I thought was beautifully done in the ideas of the characters. So all of them technically is what children go through. And so people want to say that they're just cliched characters, and it's like, no, it's not that they're cliched. Each of them have a very specific meaning to what needs to be explained. And what needs to be explained is pretty much that the idea of childhood and the issues that go through it is what's causing the problem, which will lead me to go a little bit more into the explanation of the rest of the film. So, and does the miniseries have this? Of course the miniseries has it. It's built into the character. So we can give credit to Stephen King on that one, because, well, Stephen King created these characters, and that's how he intended them. So kudos to Stephen King there, even though he doesn't need it from a guy like me. So, all right. So the character developments within those key characters of the losers is very important. Now, I wanted to talk about the Henry Brower, which is the big bully. And I can talk about the entire group, the Brawler gang, but I just want to talk about Henry Brawler. And maybe during my spoiler review tomorrow, which I'll be also doing a live, maybe probably not a live stream. I'll probably do a regular video, and I'll edit it out and everything. This one I wanted to do live because there was a lot of things I wanted to talk about. And then the spoiler one, I think I'm going to keep it very specific to certain scenes. So with Henry Brawler, what I felt that was important in there, because a lot of people go, no one's like this. This is unbelievable. People aren't that sadistic. And those of you that didn't know somebody sadistic like that, you obviously lived a very good, privileged life. And you know what? That is awesome. But I'm sorry to say, besides the certain actions that he does in the film, the character of Henry Brawler is a criminal, really. A bully, but not just emotional bully, physical. Literally causing harm to the loser gang. And these people exist. I remember growing up with kids this horrible, and not being able to do anything because people really don't believe these type of children exist. And they come and I love, because in the film, I don't want to give it up, but like his father is a very well established person. Now in the book, I know that my wife told me that it's a little bit more deeper than that, and his father it isn't very kind to him, and trying to keep my words cryptic here. But in this one, like it really does seem like, hey, he's a good guy for the most part in terms of a father. Maybe not the best of father, but he has a good job. And I just thought that reasoning that they tried to use against Brawler, like he's not possible, is frightening, because you're that naive. That you're that naive that you think like nobody in the world exists that is this bad. I mean, I live in a very small town. I don't want to say it's like Derry, but I mean it's a small town, and growing up, I mean I saw some horrible things that some of these kids would do. Yeah, I mean I'm trying not to go too deep into this, because I think I need a psychiatrist here, but not for me, just in terms of maybe suggesting it to some people. So I'm not going to say that. That is not a gripe that I have with Henry Brawler. I actually felt that we could have dove a little deeper into his character. I felt like everybody was fleshed out. I felt that they could have gone a little deeper into his psychosis, really go deeper into his mind and why he makes the decisions that he does. And I know that a lot of times they just try to use the it character, but I felt like they could have done more with Henry Brawler. But that's one thing. The secondary villain of Henry Brawler, you don't really get to go very deep into it. Now, the character that you were probably waiting for is Pennywise the Dancing Clown. Portrayed by, I believe, Skarsgård, Peter Skarsgård. I might be wrong with his first name, but I know his last name is Skarsgård. He is... Okay, when you start the film, you're going to really kind of question if you enjoy his performance or not. But as it progresses, it becomes substantially better. Once you put yourself in that suspension of disbelief, you allow yourself to be taken in. The filmography that they used in order to create the tone specifically for his scenes that would then progress to his character development was awesome, because it really kind of showed the animal side of it. Like, he is a predator. A child predator, but a predator, a creature. There are things that they chose to do with this character that if you do watch the film, this is the only spoiler, not spoiler thing that he does. Every time he is around the kids, he'll start to drool. Like just uncontrollably. And I don't know if people actually caught what the reasoning behind that is. Like, he's hungry and he's tasting the fear, and it's just like it's to the point that it's almost euphoric, and you see it in his face that, like, as he's building up the fear, it is transferring to his actual bodily functions and the way that he's reacting to it. Awesome, beautifully done. I'm sorry you didn't get that from the original miniseries, and I love the miniseries. But those little things just add such a depth to what he is. Not just what the actor did, but just going more into what it is. So it was awesome. Oh my gosh. That was probably one of the coolest things I have to say that it did was having the Pennywise the Clown really showing that he is a predator inside the town. Way more shape-shifting in this than maybe in the original film, because if you know the book, he is a shapeshifter and he takes a lot more forms than they portray in the miniseries. Actually, I could probably say in the miniseries, he maybe, let's say maybe he morphed like 5 times in the film. And then you get 5 times here that is technically only half of what the miniseries was. So, I mean, take that as it is, but I felt like that did more. So, characterization, the character choices, and I don't want to go too deep into it because it's going to go into spoiler territory, and I'm not going to do that. So, now let's go ahead and go into the pacing of the film. I think the pacing of the film is perfect. It transitions between scene to scene very well, to the point where you're able to kind of have that calmness, that okay, let's enjoy the characters for a little bit, and then like it just kind of like it just pulls you into the scares again, and then it kind of lets you go. And if you know the self-confidence of Pennywise, you know that that's kind of what he does. In all the situations he leaves, his self-confidence is so big, and he wants you to develop fear so much that he makes it very easy for anybody to just kind of leave. Okay? Because he wants the fear to build up. Really. And because it's going to be more delicious for him when you are that scared. So because of that, that's what the movie does in its filming, is that you're getting drawn in. The fear kind of builds up again, and then you kind of let go. And then you get pulled back in, and the fear starts building up again, and it lets you go again. And it's awesome because then that feeling starts to grow even more when the losers start to come together. And as their confidence grows, you as the viewer also have a growth of confidence. And that's the way it should be. That's how books are. That's how movies should be. And I feel like that's a beautiful thing that this movie does. So that's something that I feel is awesome about the film in terms of pacing, because it is the experience that these kids are having in it. What can I say about the technicalness? It's not practical effects unless you're talking about the makeup. And even within the makeup, there are moments where you can see, graphical pools for the smile, so it's just a little bit bigger, and you can kind of see it in terms of some of the shape-shifting that he does. Obviously, some of them were not practical, and if you watch the film, you can see why some of them weren't practical, as much as some people might want it to be, even though that's just not fiscally responsible, but whatever. So for sure, I feel that in terms of the quality of the graphics, I thought it was exactly what it needed to be. Exactly what it needed to be. So, I think I'm gonna just go straight into a rating, and then maybe if any of you have any questions, you can go ahead and just post them in after I'm done with the rating and kind of start winding down here in the stream. And I'll answer any questions that you have in terms of the film, and I could even give a bit of a spoiler like after this if you have any questions. But my final review, and there's two parts to this review: how I feel that this movie is as a movie, and if you want, I'll say how it stacks up to its other incarnation. But I'm gonna rate this purely for its film. This film is a great movie. I'd rate this out of 5, a 4.5. And the only reason that I would give it a half is because the things that it was lacking, the next film can fill in, and I swear I will come back and give it that 0.5 to give it the 5. I would. Completely. And actually, it would make more sense if they do it in the next film. And by the way, there is room for another film if you ever wondered that. So for sure, 4.5 out of 5. Now, compared to the last incarnation, which would be the Tim Curry performance, this is a film that is missing obviously half of it. So if you're looking for a completed story, watch the miniseries. But if you're wanting to watch something that has the feel and the spirit of the book, I won't say it's the book. I can't. But the spirit of the book, I would say that the 2017 film, is by far the one that feels that it's the true spirit of the incarnation. And hey, out of the mouth of Stephen King, he even enjoyed it. He felt that the film did an awesome job. Even the director sent a text apologizing how much he changed, and Stephen King wrote back saying, "Hey, it's a great film, loved it." So I'm gonna go ahead and open up for questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and post them on the side, please. I kind of want to push this to maybe 45 minutes, but if that doesn't happen, I'll probably stop at maybe 40. But please, if you have any questions dealing with the film, or maybe if you are up for seeing a a spoiler review. Sorry about that. A spoiler review. Please go ahead and just kind of post it up, and say like that, you want to see one, because I for sure would love to do one. And I will be watching the film again tomorrow, probably in the evening, and then I will film a spoiler version. I will do the editing on that. I probably will not do a live like how I did for this one. It would probably just be a filmed, edited version, so I can just really kind of hit the points. So yeah. So yes, please go ahead and post up any questions that you feel, or at any time you want to just go ahead and go onto my handles here. You can go ahead and go to @MemorandomBD at my Twitter account. I would love to go ahead and answer some questions there. You could also go to my Facebook, and not my Facebook, the BeerDead Gamerz Facebook and Instagram page, where you can go ahead and check out some of the pictures that we've been posting up, and always stay up to date with us. And make sure that you go ahead and go to our page and go ahead and click that like button. And then please go ahead and click that like button here, because it's always a good thing to have you guys check out all the different cool stuff that we do for you guys. All right. So no questions today. Oh, well. All right, so just I guess a little bit of an update on what I'm going to be doing pretty soon. Destiny 2 was released on Xbox One and was released on PlayStation 4. And you're probably wondering, well, Memorandum, I thought you said that you were going to be doing Destiny 2, and you would be correct. I was going to do Destiny, but I will be doing it on PC, which will not be released until the end of October. So I will not be doing my Destiny streams for a while. I also have been kind of thinking of some other games that may be streaming, but I really wanted to do some regular recordings, so that I can go ahead and edit them and put them up. So alrighty guys, I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it here. Thank you so much for watching. Please share the video once I've ended the stream, because I still feel that this is a review that's for those type of people that don't like to compare, that just like to watch a film based on its own merits and not based on how it compares to a predecessor. Please like if you agree with me, dislike if you do not agree with that concept, because hey, you know what? The internet's about opinions, and you should have an opinion just as much as me. Guys, I'm just asking, stay random, be cool, and you know what? Have a good one. I'll see you guys later.